Hello everyone, welcome to the Art Lounge Alley. This is Figure Drawing Basics Part 70. I am your host, and I'm starting off today with some classical music. Well, it's actually just a playlist. There isn't really a specific kind of playlist. It's just whatever they got going on Pretzel. I am gonna jump into today's stream. But first, I do want to introduce newcomers to the Patreon page. Let's see here. This is the Patreon page right here. It has 6 tiers altogether. I'm going to take a little bit of time just to go over some things. We got tier 1 official patron for $2 per month. You get access to the Discord server, which is basically a chat group. It brings everybody together from all the social media platforms, from all the tiers into one room where you guys can get to know one another, discuss whatever it is that you're interested in, and create a community of like-minded artists and those who enjoy it. You also have your patron name listed in the credits. So once you guys start pledging to these tiers, I'm going to start doing credit at the end of the stream as a way to say thank you for contributing and being part of the Art Lounge Alley and keeping it going. And next we got tier 2 all access patron. Now this is where you guys get access to all of my work. And some of you are going to ask, like, what kind of work is that? Well, for one, I have speed painting videos of all the... There's exclusive content or stuff that I never posted. There isn't any, there is no video or stream where that work is revealed, but this process video is from start to finish, and all the other process videos is the same. It's start to finish, it's speed painting, so it's like half an hour, but really it's a conglomeration of days work. You also have access to drawing pages you could print out, you could have next to you to get a better understanding of anatomy. So things like measuring the body using the head as the unit of measurement. Those pages are available, which I will show you guys briefly. Also, just different type of anatomical drawings and figure studies and figure drawings that you guys can practice. You could add it to your daily routine of drawing as a warm-up, for instance. So you have access to that, and of course you have access to all the finished pages and all the finished work that I have. You guys will also get exclusive content. So just as I mentioned, there's some videos that I have not posted to any other social media platform aside from Patreon. So you guys are going to get access to that as well. You're going to get access to work in progress, behind the scenes, and all the previous tier benefits like the Discord channel that I just mentioned, and having your patron name listed in the credits. So that's $5 per month. That's tier 2. Tier 3 is critique submission tier. This is where it gets interesting. You guys, for $15 a month, you get to submit work that you get to see being critiqued live on stream on Fridays, every Friday from 8 until 10 p.m. I'm going to be doing critiques. So when you guys submit work, I'm going to do live demonstration digitally using Clip Studio Paint, showing you where you can improve and just giving you tips and tricks on how to improve your drawing in general. You will also get all the previous tier benefits as well. There are some things to read about, so the way you guys can access this Patreon page is by going to the About section on a Twitch channel. And you'll see on the right-hand side the link to Patreon along with other social media links as well. Next, we got Tier 4 Kickstarter Patron. $25 per month gets you a high-resolution digital painting done of you live on stream every Thursdays from 8 until 10 p.m. And I encourage you guys to get creative with it, with your portrait that you're going to submit. You know, I encourage you guys to wear masks, put on makeup, wear all sorts of glasses, expressive face expressions, hats, and accessories. But it's not required. You could just simply send me a photo of you from your head down to your chest, and I will do a high-resolution digital painting, in which once it's finished, I will send to you, and you could do as you wish. Make it your social media profile. Send it to a loved one. Next, we got Tier 5, Artist Promotion. Also $25 per month, but this is limited to intermediate or advanced artists, those who want to promote their work on stream. There are some requirements on here. It's actually the longest one out of all of them, so you guys get a better idea of what to expect. There's some hints, there's some tips, there's some ideas for all sorts of artists. So it's not limited to illustrators, it's to all sorts. And if you guys know anybody who is and wants to promote their work, introduce them to the Art Lounge Alley. They will get 5-minute airtime at the beginning of the stream, and also prior, where I'm gonna promote on all the social media platforms that it's gonna be a special stream with their work as the image. And also, I will be promoting their social media links, so that way you guys can get more viewers. I could funnel people who are in the channel or who are viewing the stream to your website for them to check out more of your work, see what else you got cooking. Yeah, that pretty much does it. You guys can read it once, like I mentioned, you could read it on a website. Take your time and do it at your own pace to get a better idea. Next, and the final one, which is Tier 6, Private Tutoring, limited to 15 people, $65 per month. And what that gets you is 4 30-minute videos per week. So 4 videos per month. So 1 video per week. It's going to be a 30-minute video, and I'm going to be showing you guys step by step, giving you guys demonstrations on the app Clip Studio Paint, showing you where you can improve on the work that you have to submit. So once you do submit it, I'm going to start sending you guys videos every week, showing you where you can improve there. And I will also send you the PSD file that I'm going to be working on so that you can explore it at your own pace. I'm going to assign you guys homework as well, so that way you can have goals set for the week to draw and wait until the next video comes out. Also, just to keep the fire burning and keep you inspired. You'll also get a private Discord channel dedicated just for you. So it's going to be between me and you. Nobody else is going to see it. It's going to be private. You can leave me questions. You can leave me comments. And your progress as well. You could post your progress, and I'll write you back and talk about it in the next stream. And that's for every member that pledges to this tier. So each one of you guys is going to have your own private Discord channel with me. And there are other benefits as well, including previous tier benefits, so starting all the way from Tier 1 that are going to be in this tier as well. So that pretty much does it, y'all. I am going to jump into today's stream. So where we left off yesterday, I was just talking about the position of the mouth, just in different angles, what that looks like, what are some things to keep in mind when you are drawing it in 3/4 view, for example. Also just highlighting some of these principles here, for example, how all these features in profile connect on the line at an angle, not straight. So as you can see, there's this straight line going down over here, and the only thing that's touching that straight line is the tip of the nose, whereas everything else lines up on a diagonal line. You can see that the top of the lip, at the bottom of the lip, and the chin, they both touch this diagonal line, but they don't touch this line going down. And that's just to emphasize how features on the face in profile view especially show curvature or present curvature. You know, you could see how the forehead doesn't touch the front of the straight line going down. And that should just show, that, make sure that when you are drawing, you don't make the mistake of having all those features connect on the straight line. And notice also how the nose isn't really prominent, right? It's not a big nose or anything like that, and yet still all these features don't touch these parts, this straight line going down, that is. And here you could see that as well, in this example here. The chin is about as close as it comes to touching the straight line. So the straight line being my finger. So that's pretty much it. But then the lips and the forehead, notice how they don't touch the straight line at all. And that's really important to note, because that shows that you're paying attention to the curvature of the face. The entire shape of the head. It's like an egg shape, really. So because of that, and if you were to put all these different features on an egg itself, there would be curvature still. It would still be showing roundness, going from the bottom to the top and then from the side to the side. So yeah, when you do have features touching the straight line, then you know that you're doing something wrong, or that you got to change things around a little bit. And this is an example towards a youthful face, and it's the same case for let me just flip to. Same case goes for adults as well. Notice here, that's the same example here. The tip of the nose at a diagonal connects with other features. So you could see the tip of the nose, the upper lip, the bottom lip, they all kind of line up on this diagonal line. Here, it's also just demonstrating how all these features are at a curve. So if I was to draw a line, straight line going down, you could see that the forehead isn't touching the straight line. The lips aren't touching the straight line, neither is the chin. So really important detail, a mistake that a lot of people make when they're drawing a face in profile, whether it's male, female, a youthful face, even an elderly face, it's the same idea. I mean, this is just like a really exaggerated feature, but you could see here, you could see it in here as well. If you were to draw a straight line going down, the only thing that comes close is maybe a chin, but other features like the forehead, the lips, they don't touch that front line. So just a really important thing to look out for. So that's a brief overview of what we did these past few days. And what I'm going to be doing today is actually getting involved with shading. I mean, you've seen it here, there are just some things that I've done, but I'm going to talk more extensively about all these different principles when it comes to shading, when it comes to lighting. And I'm going to start out as I usually do, and I highly encourage you guys to get in the habit of doing the same, is by creating a sketch. Light sketch. As you can see, I'm not holding the pencil like this. And notice that when I am holding it, how much my hand has to travel in order to make these lines, in order to sketch out these lines. Whereas if I am holding it at a distance, my hand isn't traveling as much. So I'm able to really focus on the lines, focus on the drawing, see it overall, how it's turning out. Whereas if I do this, it kind of obstructs the vision. I have to lift my hand to see what's going on. So just highlighting the benefit of adopting this method, adopting the idea of like drawing, or getting used to drawing from a distance of the pencil, not the tip. And it also allows you to get used to a free-flowing kind of experience when it comes to drawing. Test it out for yourself, see what it's like to draw for half an hour holding the pencil like this, and how much sketching and light work you're going to be doing in that position. And then change it around. See what it's like when you're holding it at a distance. Now, something I talked about previously was it's uncomfortable, especially for beginners who want to get more control over their lines, who want to get more definitive lines. For example, it's very tempting to slide down towards the tip, and the reason why, it's similar to the idea of like holding, for example, a broomstick, right? If you hold a broomstick all the way at the handle, at the tip of the handle, with one hand, and you try to make certain strokes, it's going to be wobbly. It's going to be, you're not going to get as much control over what you're doing with it. And then if you slide your hand all the way to the front of the broom, and then you try to do the same thing with the bristles on it, you're going to have more control. You're going to be able to move it around easier. That weight distribution is going to be a little bit more leveled, and you're going to have a little bit more leverage with it. So it's similar to what happens with the pencil. You know, if you keep it at a distance, your lines aren't as definitive, let's just say. But after a while, after getting used to it, it becomes way easier. And at the moment, it's just my preferred method. Like, I don't want to, it feels very uncomfortable to do this. You know, only at times, maybe if I really want to get into detail. But even in that case, you know, I still prefer to have it at a distance, because, you know, it really, I just enjoy that process, keeping it light and sketching through the image. But yeah, so I'm just starting out by doing this. Very important stage. This is where you are determining the parameters of the drawing. Like, how big is it going to be? Is it going to be the entire page? Is it going to fit into the area that you want it to fit into? You know, for instance, in this example, it's towards the bottom of the page, so I want to make sure that it doesn't go all the way to the bottom of it, and that I'm able to get the entire head and its features on the page. Notice the camera is a little bit angled. So yeah, now that that's done, the next stage is going to be drawing these guidelines. So it's a really important stage as well. Like, all these beginning parts really set the tone for the entire drawing. The most important thing about having a good drawing is making sure things are leveled. And what I mean is, face features like the eyes are on the same line. One isn't higher than the other. You know, it's not an angled shot. It's not an angle in perspective. It's just a straightforward shot of the face. So it's even more important to make sure everything lines up. And even at an angled shot, you know, let's say it is, you know, a different perspective, all these features would still need to be on the same line, but just angled. You know, so if it's the eyes, it would be an angled line for the eyes, but they would have to line up on that line. There's never a point where one eye should be higher or lower than the other. You know, it really is, most of the time, if it appears to be that way, they still pretty much line up on the same line. So if you were to draw a line going from one side to the other, you would notice that, yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, this also, splitting it down the middle, allows you to also notice any sort of mistakes. You know, the entire point of it is so that you could see how, you know, one side doesn't match the other in some cases. So for example, in this case for the eyes, you might notice that you drew one eye a little bit too close to this dividing line, whereas the other one is farther away. And that throws off the balance and proportion of the drawing, kind of breaks the drawing. So that line really allows you to just kind of gauge the placement of face features, and to ensure they're in the proper area. So I make another line here for the nose, and making sure that I'm paying attention to the distance between the corner of the eye and nostril, where the nostril is. Also another very, very important detail that can make or break your drawing. You don't want to have this gap be incredibly wide. It's going to look weird. And it's going to break the drawing. It's going to break the anatomy of the drawing, and for the drawing to look solid. You know, it's gonna show that you didn't really pay much attention to that detail. So yeah, marking off where the nose is, marking off where I'm gonna have the lips as well. All done lightly. Just setting parameters, setting place marks before really jumping into any sort of detail. And now that that's there, I could start pressing just a little bit harder. You know, again, you don't want to dedicate yourself to any specific hard lines yet. You're fleshing things out little by little, one step at a time. You're like baby stepping it until things start to look right. Now remember, those marks are just placeholders. You could move things further up, further down, a little more to the left, a little more to the right. It's just somewhere to start. And as I mentioned, none of these features really have like definitive rules about them. You know, the lip, for example, can be wider or more narrow from person to person. You know, the only thing that is pretty much common amongst all lips is the arch in between, and even that sometimes is very subtle. It almost looks like it's kind of flat, you know, and that arch, that little dip right in between, that varies as well. But that's the most common trait amongst all of them. Everything else is very individualistic. And that's the fun of it. I mean, that's what's great about drawing from life, is that you're never disappointed when it comes to variety. You know, you're always challenged to see new details because each person has it differently. So just getting back to what was the point of this? Like, why am I constructing this face? Why am I talking about this stuff? Well, first, it's just reiterating some really important principles when it comes to having a solid drawing. And second, I'm just creating a model to really talk about lighting, you know, just to discuss what happens to the face depending on the light source. You know, what is affected depending on where the light is coming from. So in this example, the light source is coming from the front. And I'm going to give you guys another example of really more exaggerated kind of idea. And as we progress through these drawings and these examples, you guys will understand like what you get a better understanding of what these images really are representing and how they differ from each other. So in this case is just showing, you know, if the light was on the face and it's right in front of the face, these are the areas that would really fall under the shadow category. It'll be like right under the nose and under the chin. So another really important thing to note is when it comes to shading, the face is never as white as the paper. So in this case, I'm just going to give the face a nice light tone, because we're going to be working up from that light tone. Until we get like full shadows. So that's rule number one when it comes to shading. The face is never as white as the paper. And you could always, you know, if this is the lightest shade on the face, you can always erase a little bit of it for highlights. And that's really easy. I mean, if it was the opposite, if this was really like you put in a lot of really dark shading on it, it would be a lot more challenging to get highlights there. But in this case, we're doing just a light coat basically over the entire drawing. I'm going to say even the hair as well. And you guys will see as we progress in this drawing how the entire drawing starts to pop out because of that. That's another thing that I've noticed with intermediate artists, especially. Like, people were able to grasp really minute details, and they're very good at rendering stuff. But if you look at the work, it's very contrasty, like a lot of you know, like really tiny little details, every hair strand. Like, you know, you would see even like for guys, like you would see the stubble on their face. But when it comes to shading, they make this very, very common mistake of of having that contrast, of having like parts of the face being as white as the paper while having incredibly dark shadows. So there's no gradation, there's no transition going from midtones to shadows. You know, it's just kind of like highlights and then shadows. And that doesn't look good either, because there's so many features on the face that require variation when it comes to shading to really give it dimension, to give the face softness. You don't want to skip that. And the better you become at that transition from highlight, midtone to shadow, or from shadow to midtone to highlight, the better your drawing looks. The more three-dimensional your drawing is going to look as well. And it is a very gradual process, because once again, if you press way too hard, you're going to have to like go and shade everything in between how hard that shadow you made. You know, so you make this incredibly dark, then you're going to have to make the midtones darker so that it blends from shadows into midtones, and so on and so forth. So you, in order to avoid making drastic marks that later on might be really difficult to erase, it's better to just gradually get there. So going back to light, right, like where the light source is. In this example, it's towards the front. You know, it is going directly onto the face, but I'm gonna say that it's slightly more towards the right side. And the reason why is because of this shadow right here. The nose is casting a shadow from the left side. So the light is traveling, it's hitting the nose here, and it's casting a shadow on this side. But it's not a dramatic shadow, so it's suggesting that it's still relatively towards the center of the face. That it's not an incredibly contrasting perspective. Because things are, or the light source is coming from this side slightly, you're going to see darker shadows on the left side. Because the nose is protruding out, it's casting a shadow on the other side of the face. And as you guys could see in this example, you're going to see a lot of the shadow underneath, or the darkest points of the shadow underneath the nose and under the chin. This hard line under the nostril, or rather behind the nostril, since the light source is coming from this direction, again on this side, there isn't going to be a lot of light source on the left side. And as you see, areas where it's really dark, it follows by midtones to gradually give it dimension. And once again, there's no real shortcut to this, you know, to shading, to understanding shading, to understanding the technique better, to improving your line work. It's just having to sit and practice and draw it. But one thing I can say is incredibly helpful is, as you guys see, constructing it gradually, really starting it out light and then getting darker and darker, little by little, little by little. Because if you notice a mistake somewhere, it's not too late. You know, you haven't really ingrained any shade hard into paper yet. And all this, all these gradations reveal shape. They reveal, you know, planes on the face, certain features on the face. And just think about what you're seeing as well, right? Like in these terms, in terms of light source, in terms of what parts of the face are going to capture the most amount of light and what parts aren't. So in this case, it's obviously that the face is catching most of the light. So underneath the face, right where the chin is, it shouldn't be as light as the lightest part of the face, you know. So it should be relatively close, but still darker, because again, the chin is kind of casting a shadow. That light is being caught by the face and isn't traveling down underneath the neck, or underneath the chin rather. So in some cases you might think like, oh well, it looks about the same. But if you look closely, and if you just follow that idea, it would just make more sense that underneath the chin, there would be more shadow. So you could see also why it was important to make sure that you give the entire face a different color than the white in a background. Because you're making a comparison, you're saying, okay, well, if this is the lightest part of the face, then underneath the neck it should be darker. So if it was really, really white, you know, this would be a lot lighter, and parts of the face would blend into the background of the paper, which would give your image flatness. You know, it would give it would look like it's just missing parts of the face because it blends into the paper as well. So it's really, really important that you avoid doing that at all costs. Save the whitest white for highlights. And you could do that with an eraser, you know, or one of these. This is an excellent pencil eraser. You can see the tip of it is an eraser. It's small. It's good for minute little details. You could use something like that to do it. And notice how shadows are forming under the eyes. You know, the eyelids themselves are casting or not catching a lot of the light as well. That's just because of the eyelid, you know, and it's because it's thick. There are elements or parts of it that just don't catch the light, and most of the light is being caught on top of the eyelid. And look at the time. I'm gonna have to end the stream here, y'all. As much fun as I'm having rendering this, I do have to get ready for the next stream, which is the project stream. You guys are gonna see. I'm pretty excited about it because I did more work on it. I am in the next stages, and this is more coming closer to more of like a finalized state for the drawing. So stick around for that. I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break, and I'll be back for more Art Lounge Alley. If you guys enjoy this content, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. They both help the stream. Also check out the Patreon page, see which tier might interest you. And yeah, with that said, y'all, I'll see you in 5 minutes.